Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of Midlife Moto Garage, the show where a middle-aged guy tackles motorcycle modifications that may or may not go according to plan. If you've ever bought a new product and went to go put it on your bike and said, oh yeah, I could totally do this, and instantly regretted the decision, this is the show for you. And behind me here is my 2025 Triumph Speed Twin 1200 RS in the gorgeous Baja Orange and Sapphire Black paint scheme. It is fun to look at. It's definitely a little scary coming from a 400, but I do believe it is the perfect motorcycle for a tastefully managed midlife crisis. And this is just part one of a massive multi-part build series in which we're gonna take this RS from showroom stock, as you see it here, to, wow, what the heck did you do to that thing? I'm not sure if I like it or hate it. And you think I hate it. Every mod, every mistake, every swear word, you'll see it all. So for episode one here, we're gonna start pretty simple. My kid did not want me to have a motorcycle because he was afraid that I was gonna hurt myself on the bike. So the first things that I did to my scrambler over here were, number one, protection mods, things that I could consider making the bike safer, and also things to make me more conspicuous to the drivers out there on the road that you're sharing with. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna throw a set of dresser bars on here. They're gonna be the Triumph OEM black dresser bars. I'm gonna show you a photo of the part number right here. We've got some gorgeous Denali D3 amber driving lights. They really make you stick out in a crowd. We're gonna walk through how to mount the bars, how to position the lights, and how to wire them. And hopefully, we're gonna show you how not to short circuit a motorcycle that cost more than my first 3 cars combined. So grab a wrench, grab a drink, and let's kick off this chaotic adventure together. This is Midlife Moto Garage, where the host is an idiot, the techniques are questionable, and the results, we'll see.
Only basic tools are needed to pull this off. First off, and totally optional, is my trusty Milwaukee half-inch high torque impact gun. Next we have our 3/8 gear wrench electronic torque wrench. Basic hand tools include a 17mm combination wrench, half-inch drive ratchet, 17mm socket, and a short half-inch extension bar. The Triumph dresser bar kit includes the left and right bars along with 4 new single-use nuts.
So the first thing that we'll do is we will grab our key and we will turn it to release our seat, slide it to the back, up, and let's get it out of the way. Next thing we're gonna do is remove the 10mm nut, which has an 8mm bolt head, which I believe makes it an M6 bolt. After that, we will lift up the rear of the gas tank, revealing the fuel lines, breather lines, and wiring connections. Grab our trusty bent needle nose, and we will remove both of the vent lines at the rear of the tank. And with the breather lines disconnected, the fuel pump connections are now exposed. So now that we've removed the 2 breather lines from the fuel tank, next step is to remove the 2 wiring connectors for the fuel pump and fuel level sender. They are on the passenger side of the bike, on the right side of the bike. All right, connection 1 is undone, and connection 2 is on its way. I do believe we can finally begin to lift the fuel tank off of the bike. And reveal our final electrical connection. There we go. And we rip the wires.
I'm gonna wreck it!
All right, well that's gonna be a repair we need to make before we go any further, probably. Right? Okay, so as promised, every single swear word and every single mistake. And, you know, we're going to share every single success as well. So my first mistake and my first issue that I ran into was as I was trying to separate the electrical connector for the fuel level sender in the gas tank, both of the wires attached to the main wiring harness of the bike pulled out of the connector and severed themselves. Well, I severed them. So I went and I depinned the connector. I uncrimped each one of the connecting pins that were inside, and I crimped some new pieces of wire into the connector. So now we are going to just put a quick butt splice and some heat shrink on this and reinstall it in the bike and pick up where we left off. Okay, so crisis averted on the broken wiring connector. We added in a 2-inch piece, maybe 4-inch piece of wire with some insulated heat shrink butt splices, the all-in-one kind of jammies. I love those things. And, you know, we're just going to sleeve that, put a little electrical tape on it, and that'll be as good as new. And next time when we have to take the tank off, we'll have a little bit more slack to work with. Not optimal, but these are the things that happen when you're modding your bike. Okay, so now that our little mishap is out of the way, we are going to get back to this dresser bar installation. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to loosen up the top and bottom front engine mounting bolts and remove the nuts, remove the bolts, and then install our dresser bar right over the top with the same bolts, new single-use nuts. So here we go. First, we're going to remove the lower bolt, and we are going to weasel our combo 17mm wrench into the frame. We got it right where we need it. And because I own one, I'm going to use one. So first bolt is out, and there's our nut, which we are not going to reuse. And we are going to remove the upper bolt. All right. Boy, does that impact make quick work of everything. And there is our other nut we are not going to reuse. So now we're going to grab our left-hand dresser bar, which is specified by the L on the tag, and we are going to fit it in to the frame. Now, there is a wider and a narrower portion. Of course, the narrower portion goes on the bottom, and this lower bracket actually goes behind the engine and underneath the nut, not on the exterior underneath the bolt. Ask me how I know that one. And there we go. That lower bolt has started to engage the threads. That was an absolute lie. The lower bolt has not started to engage the threads. Let's start that over.
5 hours later.
I got it to start there. And then I added a little bit of extra thread with the impact. Now we are going to head up to the top bolt location. So it's going to be bolt, bracket, flat washer, then through the bike, then the nut on the other side. And now to make this a little easier on me, I've got my pair of long bent needle nose pliers to hold the nut on the back side of this connection so that I can get it started without ruining anything. All right, now we got both started. This is now still loose, but now we're gonna go ahead and we are going to grab our 3/8" torque wrench, power it on, and we've already got it set to 77 foot-pounds. And we are gonna go ahead and torque the upper and lower bolts to 77 foot-pounds. Now you don't wanna go in with your torque wrench and really wang it down on there. You wanna, as your torque wrench starts to tell you it's gonna begin to click and reach its torque spec, you really wanna take it easy as you get there. So I'm gonna hold the nut from the back with my 17mm open end wrench, and I'm going to crank down the nut to the 77 foot-pound torque spec. There we go, 77 foot-pounds. Let's do it on the bottom. Perfect, 77 foot-pounds. All we have to do is repeat the process on the other side exactly the same way, and our dresser bars are done. As you may or may not have noticed in the last scene we shot, these Denali D3 lights, well, we already got one of them mounted up because I couldn't wait and I wanted to see what they were gonna look like. So decided to go with the Denali fork tube mount, and as you can see, the light is mounted inverted underneath the mount and as high up of a position as you can get in relation to the triple tree. So it's gonna work perfectly with my windscreen, it's gonna work perfectly with my turn signals, I believe, and I think it's gonna look wonderful. So this first is installed, and the second one on the other side, we're gonna do together. Okay, so here we have our Denali D3 driving light. That is in the amber, and it has got the combo lens on it, which has the driving and fog lights integrated into it. And we've got that mounted to the Denali 55mm fork adapter, which we also purchased along with these lights from A&J Cycles. Shout out A&J. Okay, so now that we've got the D3 light mounted to the bars, somewhat even with where we want it to be on the headlight, we're gonna run the wire that comes off of the fog light behind this little trim panel that we've already removed. That takes one T30 fastener to get that out. And then we're gonna run it along the frame rail, the top tube, with the other wires and whatnot that are located there. And we are going to do the same on the other side, except there is no panel to hide behind on the other side. So we're just going to do a little bit of tie wrapping in here to make things neat and tidy. And then that'll be it. We'll be ready to put this back together and start running our actual wiring. All right, so now that we've gone over the mounting of the lights and how to get the wiring from the pods themselves back to where it'll hook up to the harness for the lighting, we are now going to start worrying about connecting them to the battery itself. So to simplify that process, I've got a device called a ThunderBox from HealTech. You should probably be seeing something on your screen right now with a little web link. And the cool part about this box is all we need to do is hook up power and ground directly to the battery, Velcro the little box somewhere, and then we've got a bunch of switched positive outputs, so that we don't have to constantly cut into things every time we add a new electronic device to the bike. So I've had some other HealTech products. I have their quick shifter on my Scrambler 400, and it is wonderful. So I am going to give this thing a shot on the old Speed Twin. So we're going to install this ThunderBox back here, somewhere right near the battery. And once we get it near the battery, we're going to take our harness. We went with the Premium Power Sports harness from Denali, and we've got a red and black lead for that, which are supposed to go directly to our battery. They are not going to go directly to our battery. They are going to go to our ThunderBox. Then on the other end of the Denali Premium harness, we've got our switch eliminator, because I don't want this to be a switched light system. I want these lights to come on as running lights whenever the bike is turned on. So we have the switch eliminator plugged in, and the trigger wire. The trigger wire is supposed to be going to switch power, but guess what? We're also going to plug that into the ThunderBox. So we should be getting power switched without any issues via that device. So now I think we have everything in place to get into it. Don't forget, disconnect your negative battery cable before you do anything. And all that is either a Phillips head screw or a 10mm wrench to do so. Okay, so now we are ready to remove our negative battery cable. And in order to do that, we're going to take our handy dandy 10mm wrench, and we're just going to loosen her up over here. Now, depending on where you purchased your motorcycle from, you may or may not have a battery tender harness also wired in here, which is totally cool. We're just going to put that back when we're done. But right this moment, all we're worried about is removing this little tiny screw here. And once we remove the little tiny screw, we are going to come on in and proceed with our install. Now that we've got the negative battery cable removed, we're going to remove the positive battery cable, because we do still need to install something underneath this terminal as well. So this ThunderBox installation is super easy if you're going to use it in the automatic mode. An automatic mode means that the ThunderBox itself will determine when power needs to go on or off, and it doesn't really have anything to do with the actual ignition wire. So now we've got both of our screws removed, and we're going to grab the ThunderBox and we're going to pop it on here. Okay, so now we've got our ThunderBox, and the connection couldn't be any easier if you just go right ahead and ignore this white wire, which is the trigger wire. You don't need it. If you don't install this trigger wire, the ThunderBox will stay in its automatic operation mode, which is the recommended mode for every install. So all we need to do is pop this red wire underneath our red terminal and this black wire underneath our black terminal on the battery and tighten them back up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. All right, so we are re-disconnecting the negative battery terminal. And now that we've got that disconnected, and both of our screws in hand here, and all the wiring is kind of out of the way, we're actually going to remove this battery and swap it out for a new OrangeTop lithium battery, and we're going to see how that does for us. So I'm going to grab that now, and let's see where we go. We got all of our wiring out of the way here, as you can see. And now we can just lift that battery right up and out. And here you can see we have our standard battery, which is a YTZ10S. That's a 9.1 amp hour, 190 cold cranking amp battery from Yuasa. And to replace it, we've got this beautiful Optima OrangeTop, which is a lithium iron phosphate battery that also has a power link module. And that power link module is supposed to give us dead battery protection. Now, as you can see, it's much smaller. It's 380 cranking amps, so double the output power, and it weighs next to nothing. So we're gonna go through this and try to figure it out. Inside the box, you've got the Quad 12 battery. You've got the Optima batteries power link button with the CPR button on it. And then we've got an assortment of foam blocks because these batteries tend to be much smaller than the included batteries on any motorcycle. And then our hardware to attach to the terminals. So as far as dimensions are concerned, as you can see, the Optima battery is about an inch, 3/4 of an inch narrower than the factory battery. It is exactly the same height, almost perfectly. And it is about 1/2 inch thinner than the factory battery. So we need to put some foam blocks on the sides of this battery to build it up to be approximately the same size as the factory battery so it fits in there nice and snug. So we're gonna do that now. So the first thing we're gonna do before we actually drop that in is we are going to preload these terminals with captive nuts. So we're gonna do that now. We pop this top cover off of the Optima battery, and that will reveal the port where we install our PowerLink module. The PowerLink can only be installed one way. The pins have it installed this way. You tighten with a Phillips screwdriver, and then you route out whichever side makes the most sense for your installation. Now we've got everything wired up correctly. And what I think we're gonna do is I think we're gonna go out the driver's side onto the left side of the bike, which would make the most sense for us. And then we just pop our cover plate back down. Now our CPR module is installed onto the bike. Okay. And we drop our battery into the tray. We grab our tiny little rubber strap, which we used to remove the battery in the first place. And now our battery is back in place where it belongs. Now we did knock off one of these red terminal covers, and we're just gonna pop that back on there because we don't need any exposed battery terminals. We're going to pop the captive nut into the side of the positive terminal. We have the positive lead from our tender harness, which we are going to duck under the battery strap so it's nice and tucked out of our way. Okay. Then we've got the positive lead from our ThunderBox. And as you can see, this is fairly fiddly, and I don't ever want to do anything like this again. So my goal is just to connect these and then use the ThunderBox for all of my connections from this point forward. Basically what I'm doing is I'm just kind of snaking the wire back into the chassis slightly so I can get to a point where everything seems to line up. So, battery is swapped, first step. Second step, the ThunderBox is currently installed. We have 2 discrete switched circuits, and we are ready to connect the driving lights to our new ThunderBox. So the premium harness from Denali is very simple, and it comes with a positive and a negative lead. We are going to cut these ring terminals off, and we are going to put the bare wire for the positive inside of one of the quick connect blocks from the ThunderBox, and we're going to do the same with the negative and connect it to the negative side. Once we've got that done, we are going to run the white trigger wire part of the Denali harness, which is supposed to run to keyed power. But since the ThunderBox takes care of keyed power for us, all we're going to do is connect it to another terminal on the spring-loaded multi-wire connector that came with the ThunderBox. Then all we need to do is figure out where we're going to pop this relay so it's out of our way and makes things easy on us. We're just going to snip off these 2 ring terminals, leaving as much wire as we can because who knows where we're going to end up later. We've got the ring terminals trimmed off, and now all we need to do is strip them back to reveal a small amount. I'm going to say a little bit less than 1/4 inch of wire. We're going to give them a little twist so they're a little bit more rigid. And we're going to hook up the red positive wire to one of the blocks on the ThunderBox, and we will hook up the ground to the other ground terminal on the ThunderBox. That is it for our power and ground connections. So the only thing we have left is the trigger wire here. So the trigger wire is also going to go to one of the ThunderBox connections, but what we're going to do is we're going to shorten this up because I don't need 32 feet of wire because I'm not running back up to the front of the bike as it was intended. Now we're going to cut this down to about 6 inches long just to make things easy. We don't want to ever cut anything too short. That will make it a pain in the butt if we have to lengthen that wire again later. So we've got that cut back, and now we've got it stripped, and we're also going to attach it directly to the ThunderBox positive connection. So now everything is done for the wiring of the Denali lights, and the next thing we need to do is figure out a way to hide all of this ancillary wire and this relay. So this little area behind the battery seems to be great for us right now. So we're going to try and tuck as much as we can into there and a little bit of the area in front of the battery as well. And we're just going to go for it. Alrighty, and then the final thing is reconnect this guy to its little block again, because it had to get out of our way for a moment. Clip our 2 tie wrap ends nice and flush so we don't cut ourselves later. Ask me how I know to do that. Alright, flush, can't hurt us. And bang, that's how you do it. So now all we're going to do is put our fuel tank back on, we're going to pop our seat on, and we're going to get ready to start this bike. Here we are, we're at the moment of truth. We've got the wiring all tidied up, and we've got our battery reconnected, and we've got our fuel tank reinstalled with our repaired electrical connectors from last time around. And we're getting ready for the first start of the bike. Once we start the bike, there should be a 3 to 4 second pause before the ThunderBox decides to add power. It's once the motor kind of levels itself out is when it applies power. May have to give it a little rev or something like that to get it done, but here we go. All right, she's a-running. I'm gonna give it a little blast. And bam. Should be a 3 or 4 second delay before they turn off after I kill power to the bike. So here we go, power's off, bam. And that is how you wrap up the installation of your Denali D3 lights, your ThunderBox, your Optima OrangeTop battery, and don't forget the dresser bar installation as well. So as always, wrench, regret, repeat.
I'm sure most of you noticed, and I noticed immediately after wrapping up the video, that I had the one bracket backwards for the light, and here is the actual